Each year on November 11th, Americans honor the men and women who have served our country in the armed forces. For Alex Harris, being a Navy veteran is one of the greatest accomplishments of his life. In 1942, at the age of 18, he had a love for naval destroyers and did not want to be drafted into the Army. He recalls the day he enlisted quite vividly.
I told Mom, I said, I'm going to drive my bicycle. I said, Lynn's going to pick it up at the bus station. I said, I'm going to catch the bus at 8 o'clock or 8:10. I'm going to Columbia to join her neighbor. Well, did you tell your dad? I said, are you out of your mind, Mom? I said, I couldn't tell him that. I said, he wanted me to wait till they drafted me to go in the Army. I said, I didn't want that.
Zane Knauss was 17 years old and living in Pennsylvania when he decided to join the Navy. He convinced his parents to let him drop out of high school and enlist early. Later in the war, the Navy switched him over to help with medical in the Marine Corps. H.D. Peters tried to enlist in several branches of the military, but was turned away.
The Army took me. I tried to enlist, but I had a weak left eye, so they wouldn't take me. But then they turned around and drafted me.
All three of these veterans of the Second World War spent most of their time serving in the South Pacific, specifically the Battle of Okinawa. H.D. and Alex are both part of the same Knights of Columbus Council and found out a few years ago that they were connected by the largest amphibious assault in the Pacific War.
That's how I met H.D. was after we got to talking. He was, my ship escorted his ship to Okinawa with their crew. And then we sat out there in the open water and shot shells over their heads. And we lost 10,000 men there.
Zane and H.D. served on the mainland of Okinawa. They both recall some of their medical services.
We learned how to make penicillin, believe it or not. We had to make our own penicillin. It was the powder, and we had sterile water. And so every dose of penicillin we gave out or put out, we had to make. And that was brand new. I mean, nobody knew how it was going to react or anything. It just came online along with sulfa. And these were people, not people, these were drugs, frankly, that I don't know how many thousands of people have been saved because of these two drugs, sulfa powder and penicillin. Otherwise, we would have lost them to disease, infection, whatever. And
since H.D. was a combat medic, he wasn't able to carry a gun during the conflict. He had to lug all of his medical supplies and equipment.
I'm glad that I was a medic. I didn't have to shoot anybody. I didn't want to have to shoot anybody. I didn't want anybody to die.
He also said that the good Lord was with him the entire way, and he only had one injury during his time in the service.
At one point, before the hospital was set up, I was in a foxhole and Navy ships shot a big flare up, and it was like daylight there. And I wanted to see what was going on, so I put my hands up on the side, and a bomb went off and got my finger.
Many of our servicemen and women had multiple deployments throughout their military careers. World War II veterans traveled all over the world. More recent veterans have spent more time in the Middle East. John Henley, an Army reservist, has had multiple assignments in his 20-year career.
I've had 4 deployments. My first one was back in '97 and '98, which was about a 7-month deployment. I went to Bosnia for the peacekeeping mission. My last 3 tours were all in Iraq. It was in 04, 05, 08, 09, and 2011.
Father Gary Linsky spent 32 years in the Air Force, most of those as a chaplain. Sometimes he was the only Catholic priest in the country. He ministered to over 30,000 men and women, and at points was the only Catholic chaplain for multiple branches of the service. One year he celebrated Easter Mass in 13 different locations.
My experience of living in 4 countries, being deployed to probably 7, and having traveled to at least 60 at this point, it enables me to try to give people perhaps a more expansive image and vision of what the church confronts throughout the world and what it means.
Kim McDonald and her children, Peyton and Jack, have supported their husband and father, Todd, through 18 years of service and 4 assignments abroad. Kim said that a lot of things change with each of Todd's deployments, including household things like chores.
And that kind of thing. But obviously, him not being a part of our lives, and really, the kids are older now, so it's actually a little bit easier, really, when they were younger, because they can really step up to the plate and help out.
The impact that military parents have on their children is immense.
I'm proud of my dad because he helps everybody that's overseas, like gives them water and food.
Peyton said she was 3 years old the first time her dad was deployed and recalls that he wasn't able to be home sometimes.
I remember when I was little, my mom and my brother and I would always like curl up on my bed and we would read like bedtime stories and everything. And that's my most vivid memory of him being gone. So.
Kim McDonald and Nancey Henley are both military wives. Their husbands, Lieutenant Colonel Todd McDonald and Sergeant John Henley, have both had multiple deployments, most of them being in the Middle East. Both Army wives said that having a support system was crucial while their husbands were away.
And the support from the Catholic community is huge, too. Having the kids involved in the Catholic schools plays a big part in that support for us, as a matter of fact.
You just have to make sure you've built a good support system of your friends and your family and your neighbors around you, so that they can help in the circumstance. You know, when you need help, whether it's with the house or the car or the child, you know, because of working the whole time as well.
Both wives also said that some people forget what American troops are going through while being deployed.
These people, and there's people that have been over there 5 and 6 and 7 times, and some come back injured, some come back hurt, some don't come back at all. So it's, I think, very the sacrifice is huge, and I think we forget that sometimes.
I don't think that veterans get the recognition that they deserve for what they've gone through. I mean, because as bad as it was for us, you know, worrying about him and being alone, we had our warm beds, and we had, you know, we knew we were going to eat the next meal is a hot meal. We weren't going to have to eat MREs or whatever and sleep on a cot if we were lucky, and somebody, you know, always turning around, somebody shooting at you or wondering if they're going to shoot at you. And people don't, unless they've been through it, they don't understand that.
During World War II, soldiers didn't have the communication means available today, so correspondence to their family back home was handled by mail.
I wrote a ton of, I guess I brought about 150 letters home with me. Every letter that Henley wrote, we'd go number them got up to 100, then we'd start over. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we'd get up to 100 and start over. She wrote me, darn near close to 300 letters. I brought them all home.
Now, most military families keep in touch with their loved ones in a much easier way.
Most of the time by phone. I sent a few letters, cards home. Once we got set up with computers at the house, we started Skyping.
All of these men and their families are proud of their military service.
We were on an airplane flight to Michigan to visit the grandchildren, and they announced that I was a World War II veteran. I have a cap that says World War II veteran, and wherever I go, people come up and say thank you for your service.
But I love America, and I love the men and women that I had the honor of serving while in uniform as a Catholic priest, because being a priest has always been more important to me than anything else.
I feel proud. I really do, because I done my share. I think I done well. I didn't do my share, but I contributed. That's what I like about it. I contributed. I was a part of it. And nobody can take that away from me. Nobody.
Getting back to the honor of being a veteran, yeah. I'm proud I was a veteran. I'm glad I enlisted. I didn't wait to be drafted. This didn't give me any particular leg up on anything. I just did what I did.
When you think about the Army time and talk about it, it seems very short, but it was a long time there.
You know, I went into the Air Force because there was an incredible need for Catholic priests. So being rewarded is nice, but it's, you know, like the title you called me, Colonel. I was called Chaplain, our father. Non-Catholics would say, hey, Chaplain. Catholics always call me Father. And to me, that's what mattered.
This Veterans Day, make the effort to say a sincere thank you to the over 400,000 servicemen and women who live in South Carolina alone, and remember them in your prayers.
And the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright